All right, so we have joining us Ryan and Harper. So again, welcome guys. We are super excited to be with you guys. And I'm sure with you guys, it's probably bedtime. So if you have kids that are loud, we understand. We all have kids here, I think. So
all right, we're in the right place then.
Yeah, it's perfect. So if you guys don't mind, we'd love to have you maybe start out, sharing your story. I don't know how much these guys know about you guys. So we'd love to hear from you guys. So
yeah, we'd love to. I'm gonna let her start because it kind of started with her. So,
sure. Well, for us, our Shaklee journey really started because we were on our own health journey. When we got married, I literally knew how to make spaghetti. Literally, like that's it. I didn't know how to make any vegetables. And I also was not healthy. I didn't feel good. I felt, I had digestive issues and skin issues and allergies, and I thought all this stuff was normal. I didn't realize it's common, but it's not normal. And about 6 months in, Ryan said, maybe we should learn to eat some vegetables. And so that's what we did. And we kind of started there on a health journey, learning how to make vegetables, going to the gym, exercising, which started for me just walking on the treadmill. And it kind of just gradually grew. And so that whole journey of just like bettering our health led us to researching cleaning products. And, we wanted to find something that was actually safe and actually worked. We were looking at skincare products that all the chemicals, and we were looking for vitamins that actually absorbed in your body. We read an article that talked about how they found vitamins at the bottom of porta potties and you could still read the brand, which has been confirmed by a waste management lady who was at an event of our team. But we were like, so where do we find this? And basically for us, what we were looking for was a company we could trust. And I don't think we could have articulated at the time, but we met this lady at our gym. She had a booth, a Shaklee booth. And we were like, oh my goodness, she has all the stuff we've been looking for. And we took the product guide and we were reading about the Shaklee difference and the history of the company. And that's what we really focused on. She met with us for coffee and was like, well, you could buy the products or you could become a distributor. And we were like, well, we share the stuff we like all the time with people. Why wouldn't we just become distributors? So we did. And for about 6 years, we really kind of did Shaklee as a hobby. I don't know if we would have admitted that at the time, but it was a hobby. Like, we did like an event like once, like twice, and we talked to people, and we sold a lot of Basic H and a lot of Vital E, and because we were meeting a need. Like we, just like anything else, we were sharing something that we liked that was good for us. But the great part was that Shaklee was sending us a check, so we were making enough to cover the cost of our products and a little bit more. And
but at the same time, I think we were at the point at that stage where we really looked at it and said, we saw that other people had success beyond what we were doing, as we just kind of used the products and shared it a little bit. But we kind of thought that's for those people to reach those levels of success. And, it's a small number. And as we've grown in the ranks, we've realized it's actually a much larger number. So that's a great thing about the Shaklee business model, is it really gives opportunity far more to a larger group of people than we think. But at that point, I think that was kind of our mindset. It was like, oh, this is nice. We're making enough to cover the cost of our products and maybe put a little bit of money away and do some extra things. And we were content with that at the time, I think, and kind of thought that that's where we fit into all of this for the time being. And at the time, it probably was. That's where our mindset was at.
Totally.
And so, yeah.
Yeah, I don't even think like the whole idea of we didn't do dreams and goals. Like I kind of thought that was really cheesy. Oh yeah, let's set goals and let's have a dream board and put all the things we want up there. Like I thought that was so ridiculous. Because I'm like, what's that good's that gonna do? Because we really did not realize that Shaklee could be a vehicle for that. Right. And we didn't realize the power of being motivated by the bigger picture of life. That if this is what we want our life to look like, we had a vehicle. And if we put that out in front of us, that it was going to encourage us to do the work that we needed to do to get there. And so we went to I went to a January event. Right. That my upline, she would be like, you want to set goals? And I'd be like, no. Do you want to read a book? Here's a good book. No, I don't do books. And I went to this event and that she was like, come on, come to events. And I'm like, I don't know if I have time. And I went to this event and I was hearing these people speak, and Master Coordinator Rick Seymour spoke on dreams and goals. And he talked about how our brains were designed to function on goals. And that when we set goals, like our brains, that's what our brains use to move forward and do the things we need to do. And like all of a sudden it started to make sense, and started to be like, well, you know what, there are these dreams that we have and things we want to accomplish in our lives. Like, and all of a sudden it clicked that Shaklee could be the vehicle for that. Like that there was actually more to it than a hobby, that that success that we saw in other people wasn't just for them. It could be for us too, but also that it couldn't just be for us, that it could be for other people. So it's like this bigger thing that could be for us, but we'd never talked. I mean, his sister was a distributor under us because she sold a lot of shakes, but it wasn't like we ever talked about the business, like never. Like she just was his sister, and that's, you know what I mean? Like, because I don't think that we had the vision. We didn't have a vision for what the business could be. So we knew how awesome Basic H was. We were talking a lot about that, but I think that was also a point. So we made some decisions that day. Like I came home and told him, and we made some decisions. But really, we also started sharing the business, because we realized that could change other people's lives if it could change ours, even though we hadn't had success yet. We hadn't had success. We hadn't seen all that stuff. We didn't have a car payment. We didn't, hadn't earned a trip. Like there was nothing like that, but we knew it was possible. But the changes we made were, we set goals and we put our dreams, we did a dream board. We set specific time aside to work. Like it wasn't just kind of like whenever we had time. It was, okay, these are the hours each week I'm working. And so I'm going to decide what I'm going to do in those times. And I came home and he walked me through all this. And then investing in personal development, because I didn't do any of that, anything about learning more about how to lead in a business or my mindset or anything like that.
Yeah. And at that point, I didn't have a real solid understanding. I mean, I knew the business, the opportunity that was there to build and develop a business in this kind of marketplace, in this kind of business model. I understood it, but I didn't understand the details of it. And so it was always kind of something that I was supportive of, and but kind of just let it be her thing. And I would talk to people about what we were doing and send them her way. But I think when you came home from that event was really where we sat down and said, okay, let's make committed effort, not just kind of like a spare time business, because that's what it was, spare time business. We were making spare time income. And the one thing that of those three things that I think really made the difference was committing time. And I think in the beginning for us, it was maybe 3 to 5 hours a week.
Yeah, so it was 5 hours a week, 2 nap times.
Yeah.
2 full nap, so it's like 6 hours, because I think they were sleeping more.
I think that's really powerful, because then you have a commitment of time. I mean, that's one of our most valuable commodities in life is our time, if not the most valuable. And so when you say, hey, I am committing 3 hours, and even if it is just a couple hours a week, to start somewhere and make that large commitment of something that we all have a limited amount of, it really does mentally get you into the mindset of like, okay, if I'm going to block out these hours and I'm protecting those hours from being invaded by the other things in life, it really does make you begin to think, okay, how do I best spend that time? And as you sort through that and process through how you work and how you're most effective in what you do, those blocks of time begin being compensated for at a pretty good hourly rate. And then as time goes on, the efforts you make in those couple hours a week becomes compensated at maybe a much higher rate hourly as your efforts compound, and as your consumer base picks up, and as maybe you begin working with a leader or two on your team during those times. So that's really important. But all that to say, so my role was very much I think supportive at that point, which I think is really important. And, it's great to see, number one, it's great to see a bunch of men on the call and husbands. And I just want to encourage whatever support that you're providing in this business, regardless of what level you're at, just continue to do that. Continue to develop that communication line of how to best support the person who is the primary in this business. And that's a growth curve. But for us, that next year from 2012 to 2013, looked a lot like just committing to those three things that Harper mentioned: personal development, time, and why am I drawing a blank on the third one?
Goals and dreams.
And goals and dreams, the most important. But for me, it still always in my mind was kind of okay, this is great. It's kind of been our secondary side hustle. And now what we're doing is going to make it just an even bigger side hustle. And as we continue to talk about our goals and what we wanted to accomplish, and not just things we wanted to achieve, but what we wanted our life to look like, more and more we looked at the other things we were doing outside of Shaklee and realized that, for example, my industry, which my background is investment advisory, financial planning, things like that, and just realized that as good as an industry that is, and as helpful and as much of a need that it meets, it really was not what was going to allow us to have the life that we wanted to have. And which for us, we define it really as having an integrated life, having a life that between our faith, our family, and our business is, it doesn't work together perfectly all the time, but we want it to be able to be integrated, and for there not to be compartmentalization as much as possible. So we just looked at what I was doing and said, man, there's some real issues there with being able to continue to pursue what we want things to look like if we don't make some changes and continue to grow our Shaklee business. And providentially, I think 2013, we decided to go to our first global conference in Nashville. And right before leaving for that, there were some serious issues happening within my industry and then within the family business that I was part of, and went into that conference just thinking, man, we need to figure out something different. And it wasn't necessarily that it was going to be Shaklee, but we left that conference saying, okay, we now are ready to step into making Shaklee our plan A. And I still have my advisory business and I still work with clients and things like that. But as far as what we're working on to develop as far as for our business and even legacy wise for our family, it's become the Shaklee opportunity and the need that it meets there. So we made that shift, and really what that just looked like is continuing to evaluate. And I think for everybody, you've got to celebrate your success. So make sure you do that. We're not good at that. That's probably one of the things we need to get better at, is when we achieve something, taking the time to step back and appreciate what it took to get there, figure out what we can learn from it, and then move forward from there. We kind of just continue to just move forward, and we're working on that. But I think, first of all, do that, but evaluate on a regular basis, in your business, what has worked well, what has not worked well, and spend some of that time you commit in your business to doing that. I think a lot of times we get caught up in the activity of this business and all the things you have to do, which absolutely are important. It comes down to execution to grow anything, and activity, but do take that time to make sure that those activities and the things you're doing to execute your plan are being done in a way that is efficient and works for you and is working.
But I think that's even a really important point about the whole idea of setting aside specific time, is that then you have the ability to be proactive also. And I think one of the hardest things in this business is when you get reactive, when you just are just answering emails and responding to this and responding to that, instead of being, okay, what are the things I need to proactively do to move forward? Who are the people I need to proactively call? It's just a very different mindset. And so when you are in, you take control of the time and you say, these are the hours and these are the things I'm going to get done, it moves things forward in a much stronger direction.
Yeah. So I think for us, our story comes down to really two different things. I would say a lot more than that, but can be summed up in really by saying we decided not to quit and to stay in the business, even in the periods of time where things might have moved backwards a little bit for us or just weren't growing the way we would have liked to see. We decided we're not going to quit, and we're always going to ask ourselves, what's the next right thing to do? Whether that's the next right way to serve a customer that had a need, current or existing, what's the next right thing to work with somebody who's on our team who has a need, and to plan long-term, but on a day-to-day basis, be asking that question of, all right, I don't need to figure it all out. I don't have to get it all done, but what is the next right thing I need to do? What's the one thing? And I think our business has grown just through a series of hundreds and hundreds, if not thousands of times of asking that question and acting on it. We don't always answer that question right. We made bad decisions at times in terms of what the next thing is that's most important, but we fail forward. And I think one of my favorite quotes right now is, behind every fear is a person that you want to become. And so that's another thing that I think has helped us in this business too, is to say, yeah, it's a hard thing, or it's something new that we haven't done before. It's a new skill, or it's a new risk that we have to take. But realizing that doing that is going to get us closer. Maybe not doing it once, but doing it twice and 3 times, and continuing to move forward.
Well, because I think that's a really good point, because I know for me, like I talk about how when I came into this business, I do not have a degree in nutrition. I do not have a degree in sales. I don't have a degree in marketing. I don't have a degree at all. I was an administrative assistant for 10 or 11 years. Like, that's my background. Like, nothing in leadership, so everything that has caused us to be successful in this business, we've learned along the way. Like, there's nothing that we brought to the table that's like, oh, well, that's why they are good at this. It's not. Like, we care about people, but I think everybody who joins this business cares about people, right? We get in this business because we want to care about people. So that's what we came in with. But everything else we've learned along the way, and we've been able to grow and develop in those skills, and like how to talk to people about their health, and how to lead people in a team, and all of those things. And it's all things that you can develop to be successful.
Yep. Yeah. And the last thing that I would say for me, because a lot of people will ask, what my level of involvement is in our business now, and, kind of what made the shift for me to say, I'm going to continue to maintain a business that I built for 17 years with clients and a customer base there. But my efforts over the last 2 years have shifted very much more into this being primary for both of us. And just as an encouragement, and we always say health is more than health. Okay. We believe each person here has a particular calling on their life, or callings on their life. And they've been designed and put here with those callings in mind. And we believe that at the end of the day, we're not here trying to help people understand why, our vitamin B complex is the best, even though it is. All of those things, we want them to be healthy because of the bigger picture of, if they are healthy, they are going to be a better employee at their workplace, or a better entrepreneur, or and most importantly, in our minds, a better parent and spouse, and all of those things that we need to be to those who are closest to us. And so if we can help people reduce the sick cycle that they run into from September to March every year, and not spend, when we have 3 kids, and most other families we know with 3 kiddos, they spend those months pretty much just cycling through whatever bug is going around. One kid gets it, and the next kid, and maybe they have a week open here or there where nobody's sick, and it's a miracle. We want to cut that down, because we see how that impacts people's lives and takes them away from what they really could be doing. But for me, what changed my perspective in terms of where I prioritize my time, and just an encouragement to continue to not just share the products, because we believe health is more than health, but to share the business opportunity. And that is that there's a huge, huge need for businesses like this and what they provide for people in our country and in the world. And the reason why is, in 17 years of financial planning and investment advisory, when I would meet with clients and we would look at their budget, and we would look at debt they need to pay down, or plans that they want to start making for the future, I don't think I ever ran into a client where their need, in order to take them from the red every month and put them in the black, was $3,000 or $4,000 or $5,000 a month, for, I would say, 8 or 9, at least out of every 10 clients that I worked with who were in that scenario. It was maybe $300 a month that they needed to be able to go from being in a cycle of not being able to get out of debt or start planning for the future. It was $300, $400, $500 a month. And in my industry, they always say, well, the greatest need is for people to know how to invest their money. And that's true for the people who have money to invest. But as I looked, the greatest need in our market today is for people to be able to live debt-free, to be able to put aside money for future goals or for emergencies and things like that, and have that peace of mind again, where, money is more than money, and money can provide opportunities and security for families, so that, not so you can be ultra wealthy and everybody can be financially independent, but so that you can be prepared, and so that people can have a peace of mind. And so when I looked at what I was doing in my investment advisory business, yes, it's important and there's a need there, and I'm good at it and I can help people with that. But this business is the business that's positioned to help the most people with the greatest need in our marketplace at this time. And to be able to see the difference that it makes for individuals, for their personal health, for their marriages, for other business ventures that maybe they're pursuing in addition to Shaklee, that is huge to me. And to see the opportunity to make an impact at that level, that brings a lot more satisfaction and fulfillment to me than even 16 plus years in the investment advisory business. So, yeah.
Did you have any questions, Amanda, or anybody?
I know I have lots, but I'll try to limit. You guys feel free to maybe comment in the side, or I can unmute you here too. But I have to say one that I was thinking right now is, how long did it take you guys to get to be master coordinators?
That's a good question. So in January of 2012 is when I went to that conference and had that aha moment. So that's when we say, we joined as distributors in the December of 2005. But we were basically like glorified members. You know what I mean? Like, we weren't really building a business. So we started building it. We had a handful of customers, but we started building a business in January of 2012. And then we hit master coordinator in October of 2017.
It's pretty fast. It's great. That's awesome. And I know one thing that we had a question that just came up here too. I have my phone on here too, but was, what do you guys think has been like maybe like some of the things that have really helped you guys with your growth? Like, what tools or what have you found has helped you guys to feel like you've excelled faster?
Consistency. I think whatever tools you're using, I love using a new member appointment. Like, I think that's been really valuable to to begin follow-up. I think that it's consistency. Like, whatever you're doing, it's being consistent. I don't think it's necessarily like one, social media, that's how you grow your business, but it's not. I think social media has a place and it's important, but I don't think it's this one thing. I think it's being consistent. I think it's meeting new people, connecting with new people, listening for needs. I think it's really growing in your ability to listen, to have conversations, because it's through listening that you hear needs, that you're able to serve people. So I think it's not just like one specific tool. Does that make sense?
For sure. And I see Carla's kind of question here too, and I know somebody had asked about this also, but do you guys do a lot on Facebook?
We do some, for sure. I would say that most of our connections, we have a lot of people who are like, yeah, I've been following you on Facebook for years, and yeah, now I'm ready, who just come out of the woodwork. But I think a lot of what I look at Facebook as is really a relationship builder, a relationship connector. So I do, I talk about food, and I talk about exercise, and kind of the big picture of health a lot. We do talk about Shaklee. We talk about the business, we talk about things, but we don't do a lot of, we don't do sales on Facebook. We don't, but so much, but it really is a connecting point. Cause you look at, you look at my 6 main builders, and one of them is that sister-in-law who really did kind of build a business. But one of them I met at a baby shower, but then we connected on Facebook. She saw a video I posted about vitamins dissolving, contacted me, and now she's a key coordinator. Another girl who I met at the gym, and I was afraid to talk to her about the business before 2012. And but then we kept in touch on Facebook. So then we set up a play date, and now she's a senior executive coordinator. Another girl I met at a dinner party, she saw something I posted on Facebook, said, "Do you have vitamins? Because I need some." And so a lot of it is that kind of thing.
Yeah. And I think social media for us, yeah, and it's exactly what you asked about. It's definitely a tool. It's something that that opens the door, but as soon as one of the goals that we always have when we use social media is we always want to take it off of social media as quickly as possible. So that's a good thing to remember. So I would say a couple of things just to kind of sum up what you said, consistency, because we have people on our team who have followed things that we've posted online, like Harper said, for years. And then all of a sudden the timing is right for them and they reach out. And so again, that goes back to the don't quit. You don't know what seeds you're sowing right now that you have no idea are being sown that won't come to life for maybe a couple of years down the road. And they could end up being the biggest team within your organization. So consistency, not quitting. But I think our mindset is always, whether it's social media or opportunities to share in community settings, is to be a resource. And so that doesn't mean you have to be a resource in the area of health. Okay, so put yourself out there on social media. A lot of people with social media aren't sure what to post. They don't want to be too in people's face about, the Shaklee opportunity in that business. That's okay. You don't have to always lead with Shaklee. If you're in Shaklee, then we would believe that there's obviously an interest and a passion for health and wellness in some regard. So be a resource in that area, but also what other areas of your life are you a resource? Can you be a resource? Are you financially minded? Are you, fitness minded? Are you mechanical? What are the things that you can put out there that will create the opportunity for people to look at you as somebody that, like, oh, I have a question about something, I need to ask them. Increase your value as a resource. And then even if it's not Shaklee related or health and wellness related, you always have the opportunity, as that relationship builds, for them to hear about that as well. So, in regards to social media, I think that's some keys for us that we've seen.
Totally. Yeah. Like when people are messaging, like, the first thing, okay, hey, when can we get on the phone, and trying to get that so that you're having a conversation with them and listening to their needs. I think that's a
good way to filter people too, because a lot of people might message you or comment on Facebook about something or say they're interested. But if you ask them to make that commitment of getting on the phone and they kind of put it off or it doesn't happen, that, okay, maybe they need to come along a little further before we have that conversation, or maybe we need to do more to inform or educate them for it in their mind to be worth the time to get on the phone. So,
right.
You guys still do a lot on the phone? Like Annette just asked, about following up and getting people to actually commit to doing a phone call with you off from Facebook, or doing, is that kind of how you guys generally would follow up? Is usually with phone, or do you do email more, or texting, or what's your?
I do. I mean, I try to get on the phone quite a bit. I do some texting, making sure people know their auto ship is coming up, or just checking in on something, or I set up a lot of phone calls. Like I don't do a lot of just random calling people. Sometimes I do, but a lot of times it's scheduling a phone call through text. But a lot of times when I text, I use the voice text or the voice on Facebook option so they can hear your voice, because you can sound really salesy and not mean to sound really salesy in a text. But if they hear your voice and they hear your care and your concern, it can come across a lot different.
You did ask, somebody did ask about events, Carla, and I would say in the beginning, we were probably doing an event, an in-home in our house, where we'd invite people in, once a quarter?
Or even, for a while we were doing them once a month.
Yeah.
I'm a huge proponent of in-home events. I don't think it's the only way, because you have people all over the country, but I think an opportunity for an in-home event is really powerful, because you get to share the whole Shaklee story. And that's why I like to get people onto the phone, because you get to share the whole story, and not just like, okay, here's a link to what I use for, this, because then you're just selling them something instead of really meeting their needs, instead of giving them a whole picture of why, Vitaly is more expensive than the vitamin they're buying at Costco. And so I like events for that. Oh yeah, a lot of individual appointments. It just whatever. It's not in one box. It's just connecting with people, meeting new people, connecting with people, and yeah.
Perfect. I have one more, and I haven't seen anybody else popping up a question here. If you guys think of something, what would you guys? We have a lot of kind of newer distributors.
Awesome.
So if you give them some tips, what would you guys, what do you encourage your team, as they're getting started, kind of some pointers and things to start with?
One of the first things when people start that we do is we have them write a letter. this is a crucial thing in my opinion. And we have people who didn't want to do it. And I mean, we had someone who's just hit director and finally decided to write her letter. Yeah. So it's not like saying you can't do, but I find it's a super powerful thing. And the letter is not, hey, guess what? We're selling Shaklee. Very much the opposite, because we are like, when Shaklee first started, their biggest thing was they had to explain to people what biodegradable meant and why people should take vitamins. And for us, we're looking at all these different companies, that people are comparing us to, or we're on social media and they're like, oh, another one of these people, but we're different. We are so different, and we have to show people we're different. So to me, the letter is like, this is like where our family is in our life. And, we found ourselves kind of needing to take better care of our health. And in the meantime, I'm in this job that I don't love, and I really would rather be home with the kids. And so we're just struggling through these decisions. And we ended up finding some solutions to our health. And before I felt like this, and then I felt like this. And then we realized that wow, health is powerful, because now that I feel so much better, I'm able to do this better. And so we decided that we wanted to partner with this company because we wanted to help other people improve their health. So this is a little bit about Shaklee, and this is, when my grand opening event is or whatever it is, but really just to give people an opportunity to hear the bigger story, your story, who you are, where you're coming from. So I mean, that's a huge thing that I encourage people to do.
So the letter is your story, like whoever the person is.
Whoever the person is, yes. And I have an intro, like a description of how you write it, I can send you too if you want.
Oh, thanks. That would be great. Perfect. All right. And I see one more, and then we'll let you guys go because I know it's getting late. But how do you guys use HealthPrint, or do you use HealthPrint a lot?
That's a good question.
It's a good question. We definitely, I don't feel like we utilize it enough, for sure.
Which we talk about often.
Yes.
We're like, man, we need to use HealthPrint more. Or how can we use HealthPrint more?
Yeah, because I think for us, having been doing this for so long before it came out, you get in these habits of not utilizing it. But I think it's an amazing, amazing tool. And when we do use it, we find it to be so helpful and successful. And I think you're able to like start a conversation with someone, like okay, so here's a great example of why HealthPrint is awesome. In December, when the 180 special was happening, a teammate of mine was like, it's one of those things I feel awkward calling people and being like, hey, I noticed you probably need to lose weight. Want to try the 180 kit? But instead, she looked up everyone who chose weight as one of their goals in their HealthPrint and reached out to all of those people to share with them that this special is coming. Or even just in a conversation to be able, when you get on the phone with someone, when you do get them offline, you get on the phone, you say, hey, so these were your goals. Tell me more about them. It's just a conversation starter. It's a place to start, and really to kind of help, give resources and all kinds of things. So,
Great.
I think for somebody who's just getting the business, it's a great tool because it basically guides that conversation for you through that and gives you the ability to, at each point, to look at, where they landed in certain areas and say, I'm sorry, I talk with my hands a lot and I'm seeing it's not on the screen, so my fingers like over there. I think it helps somebody guide that conversation to somebody who's new in the business. And even for us, we've seen the value when we do make the habit of using it. And it also gives you a chance to ask them more questions, so you can clarify as you're going through that. Hey, this is where you came out as you answer these questions. Do you feel like that's accurate? You think that's a good reflection of where you're at, or would you say it's less or more? And to clarify those conversations, and then at the end to be able to say, hey, it's up to you, it's your choice, but you've got a few different options here that we could help you with, and to be able to walk through those in kind of a ready-made format is huge.
If you want to learn more about HealthPrint and utilizing it, the resource that I use is on the Shaklee Effect, the Facebook page. What's Eva's last name?
Have you seen that? Eva Rumble?
Mm-hmm. She has a couple videos and a couple resources that she's put on the Shaklee Effect to share with everybody. And that's actually a lot of what we use, that we duplicate, that we share with our team, because her resources are incredible. Yeah. So check her out on the Shaklee Effect page.
I would say with that, as you taught, if you use the HealthPrint, always be thinking about where can we drop the the idea of the business opportunity, and the health print gives you a good opportunity to do that as you go through the product recommendations. And for us, when we have used it, it's easy because we can say, well, when we first started in Shaklee, what our goal really was we had gone through a similar process, figured out what we needed, and we decided, man, we'd really like to cover the cost of what we're buying from Shaklee by sharing that with other people. So consider sharing that at that point in time with that person if their mindset is the mindset of somebody you would want in your business, and take that opportunity to just mention it. Just mention it and then move on. And oftentimes they'll come back and say, oh, yeah, you know what? Actually, you said something about paying for my products. What would it take to do that? And then from there, you can launch into, well, what if we did an in-home event where I shared Shaklee with some of the people who you think are in your life who would benefit from it? And kind of just continue down that road and open those doors.
And then we talk more about it in the new member appointment, to follow up, the idea of the options that you have in Shaklee. So it's kind of fills it up.
And I think that's a good point because you mentioned the new member appointment before too. To have some sort of system that you have to follow up with that new customer when they have received their products and used them for maybe a week or so to follow up. I think in any business, I know in my business, that's huge in the investment advisory. That the customer service piece or the follow-up piece is so huge. A lot of times we'll get a customer and think they've been educated to the point they need to be and be able to, all right, now we're moving on to somebody else. And it will pay so many dividends to 2 weeks after somebody places an order to follow up with a phone call, schedule a phone call with them and say, hey, I just want to check in. So let's talk in 2 weeks once you've had your products for a while and see how they're working for you. And then you have the opportunity to share other parts of Shaklee at that point. So.
That's great. I unmuted you guys, so except yours, Carlos. I heard a little feedback. But does anybody want to say anything real fast? So Terry, you wrote a comment over there. I don't know if he answered it, but
I was just wondering. I know Ryan had talked about things that have, evaluating things that work and things that don't work. I just wondered if you wanted to share if you had something that you knew right off the top of your head, like it totally didn't work, like that was not helping at all.
Yeah.
Just wondered.
I think in the big picture for us, what didn't work. I mean, I think the thing that's taken the most work for us is figuring out the balance between our just everything in life, but specifically our partnership in this business and the time that is committed to it by both of us and the different roles. And things like that. And that has definitely taken work. So along the way with that, there have been certain things I'm trying to think off the top of my head that have not worked, but, well, I would say, I would say, so I'll just say this. I think for us, what we've realized is that in this business, what has not worked for us is when, as my involvement has increased over the last couple of years, what has not worked is for me to try to duplicate myself in terms of being good at the things that Harper is good at, and just having there end up being two of us doing more of the same thing. That has not worked because that was our mind, at least my mindset going into it was like, okay, I just want to take some of the work off of her. So I'm going to learn how to do all the things that she's already doing. And then we'll just split the load kind of deal. We've done that in some areas, but there's just areas that I simply am not gifted that she is. There's a lot of areas that is true. So for me, so for me, I think that has been something that has not worked, is trying to go about it that way versus saying, okay, but what am I good at and what can I add to our business, instead of kind of trying to take that split the load approach.
I think for me, definitely, like especially in the beginning, something that didn't work was throwing up Shaklee on people. A term I like to use where someone's like, oh, my kid has eczema. Really? Let me tell you what you need to do. You need to buy this, you need to buy this, and I'll tell you this works, and and you need to change your laundry detergent, and giving that approach instead of really just asking questions and listening and playing that ping pong game of just giving them just enough information for them to ask a question back. And so that definitely did not work so well.
Good one. All right. Anybody else, guys? Burning questions? I'm sure, again, we can ask lots.
Where'd you get that green hat?
Yeah. Good question.
NDC.
The new directors conference, which We went to what, last year?
Yeah, in April.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Because we didn't make it the first time. We had to get second chance. So,
And look at you now, guys. So
Failure is not final.
no.
yeah, that's awesome. Yeah. All right, guys. I want to tell them goodbye. And again, if you guys do think of something, Harper, if you don't mind, maybe I'll Facebook you if there was something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for having us.
This was so great. We were looking forward to spending time with all you tonight, and hopefully it was helpful. And there are some things you can pick out that'd be helpful moving forward. So.
Yes, thank you so much, guys. Hopefully we'll all see you at conference, and we'll
absolutely. Look forward to meeting some of you in person. So.
All right.
Good night.
Thank you.
Thank you.